Rabbi Elie Abadie is the Senior Rabbi Emeritus of the UAE and the Gulf states, joining me at the media line. Rabbi Abadie, a lot has happened in Syria, particularly since the changeover of President al-Shara taking over, Bashar al-Assad in Russia, and everybody's been watching the year with a close lens. You yourself are very familiar with Syria, and in looking at what's happening, what do you see from your home in the United States?
Well, I definitely see a change of regime, of course. What I'm not sure is there a real change of policy? Is there a real change of politics? Or is politics as usual in any Arab country where one dictator falls and another one assumes power? Of course, usually at the beginning, that one who assumed that power comes as a savior of his people and of his nation, and eventually over the year becomes the same tyrant, the same dictator that he deposed decades before. So I think the situation with Syria is wait and see. I was offered to go and visit and to take a group with me over there. And I do want to do that eventually. But I always said, let's wait for a year or two to see, is there really going to be a change there? Change of policy, change of politics, a reawakening of a new Syria, a new Syrian republic. So it's a wait and see. The thing that I have seen so far, on one hand, are encouraging, and yet there are other scenes that are not encouraging at all. As we have seen some of the massacres that took place with the Druze and with other groups, as we have seen, I understand, they're executing people in the streets sometimes by some group of hooligans, which we don't know, do they represent the government or they don't represent the government? And if they don't represent the government, then the government should reign on them and control them. And if they do represent the government, then it's a big problem. So I think it's a situation of wait and see with optimism, but not full security that, yes, we have a new regime and a new Syrian republic.
There are many groups that have visited Syria, and particularly Jewish Americans that have come. There's a group that's there as we speak. It's very interesting to see that they're going despite some of the problems, even sometimes the security issues. There's this, I say, this desire to understand what's happening on the ground, to go and see what exists of the Syria of yesterday, and particularly for the American Jews to see what was part of their heritage. So you talk about maybe going in 2 years when so many people are going now. What are you hearing from them?
So yes, I have seen and I know the people personally who went there, which is wonderful that they had the courage to go there. I'm just concerned and afraid that some people find this opportunistic situation in which they want to be there the first. They want to be there to represent the community, in which really, in reality, none of the people that went there have an official representation of the community. They only represent themselves and whatever organization they have, if they have any. But again, I'm happy for them that they went and they saw. Especially those people are mostly people that left 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and they want to go see back their own homes. But I'm concerned also that they might be jumping on the bandwagon, and where we still don't have a very clear view of what is the real policy of this government vis-a-vis the Jews, vis-a-vis Israel, and vis-a-vis the citizens, all of the citizens of Syria, of all religions and ethnicities. But I'm concerned, as I said, that it might be just opportunity for them to be there to say we were there the first, or to be able to find an opportunity and claim it for themselves. I'm not, God forbid, accusing anybody of that, but I'm concerned that it might be seen as such, or I'm concerned that it might turn out to be that way. So my attitude is wait and see.
You have spoken very clearly about the importance of the role of the Jews that lived in the Arab world and the fact that there were so many and there are so few. I mean, witness the fact there were only 6 Jews still living in Syria, which is quite a small number to talk about Jewish community. And indeed, Is it an area you can foresee? And I know it's kind of premature that people will go back and say, let's rebuild what's there. Let's show off the heritage. Let's try to see if there's something we can do that isn't going to just be remnants of a history book without people.
Well, I think that would be a fantasy, to tell you the truth. That especially because the last generation that left 30, 35 years ago. Their children, those who were born in America, are full Americans, or they went to different countries. They're citizens of those countries, either Mexico, Panama, Brazil, or Israel. And it will be very difficult for that new generation who was born abroad to decide to go back. You might have some elderly people that might go back to claim their real estate, their properties, that they might. To form a full community, I don't see it for at least for the next 5 to 7 years, which will make it even more difficult, or if not more difficult, more remote, because as that generation passes on, the younger generation will not want to go back. Unless, again, Syria will become another United Arab Emirates type of a lifestyle, which I don't see it happening at least for the next 3 to 5 years. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Is it a probability? Not really. I don't think so.
Looking at President Trump's vision and dream and hopes that he'll see some kind of normalized relationship between Israel and Syria. Do you think that there's a reality there, or it's just wishful thinking?
I think there is a reality, but the reality is not that close to that we hope it will be. There is a reality there. There are a lot of players in the chess game here. You have Turkey, who wants significantly great influence in that country. Russia, despite giving a safe harbor to Bashar al-Assad, they still want their influence and their military base there. And of course, those two nations are not very favorable to Israel. So they might not advance the relationship. But I think if Syria is smart, if the leadership of Syria want to be part of the new Middle East that is growing and becoming, then they ought to know that the only way is through Israel and the United States. But is again, wait and see. But I am hopeful and I am optimistic, but I don't think it's going to be as quick as possible.
Turning to Gaza and looking at the peace organization that President Trump is formulating, it's been very difficult. And there are many Arab countries that do not want to get involved and witness what's gone down, even with Azerbaijan, who recently just said they really want to see some kind of political rapprochement and a political reform in terms of the big picture. Everyone is skirting the issue for the most part, thinking that we can avoid it. Do you think it's possible? I mean, you know the Middle East better than many. What's your thought there?
Well, Hamas definitely does not want to disarm. Hamas definitely does not want to give up a leadership role in Hamas. So phase two, I don't see it happening unless the United States and the Gulf Arab countries, excluding Qatar, will press on Hamas to do so. It's in their interest. I know that the Gulf countries, except Qatar, as I said, including Egypt, Jordan, and many, do not want to see Hamas in control, do not want to see Hamas armed. So, however, they are not forcing their way there. They're not pressing, at least they're not doing it publicly. They might be doing it through diplomatic channel with the United States. They don't want to see Hamas. They know that Hamas is already the old world. They know Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they know Hamas will always be a thorn in the peace process. However, you have Turkey and Qatar that they want Hamas there because that's their influence. They are supporters of Hamas financially, morally, and probably objectively also. And so that's why you have an impasse as to the application of phase two. In addition, that there still is one cadaver of one hostage that has not been yet released. So officially, we're not on phase two until that cadaver is returned, that body is returned. And even once that return, I don't see Hamas. Hamas will not do it unless it is forced. and not just by diplomatic or political pressure, but probably by military pressure. That's the only way that they're going to disarm and leave Gaza. And especially if they have the support of Turkey and Qatar, they feel they have who is backing them. Therefore, they're not going to go to and implement phase two right away.
It brings us back to Iran. It normally always does. And Iran is definitely busy at large trying to regain momentum in terms of nuclear prowess, in terms of possibility of entree into other nations. We really don't know what's up their sleeve completely. Any thoughts on where Iran might target next?
The victory against Iran has not taken place yet. So, yes, bombing their nuclear facilities, degrading their air force and their military installations, cutting off the major military leadership and some political leadership, it only holds, in a sense, it only delays the eventuality that Iran needs to be completely vanquished. Without a new regime in Iran, without a democratic regime in Iran, Iran will continue to build up, will continue to try to make their nuclear arsenal viable, and will continue to be a nuisance and a thorn, and not just in Israel, in the Arab world, but in Europe and the entire Western world. And I think President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have come to that realization that they need to do something about that. Without a change in regime in Iran, we haven't done much. We haven't done much. The only thing we did is we're buying time for Iran to again rearm itself.
Then the question to ask is, what was the point of phase one?
I think it's just to buy time, because according to calculations, Iran was merely a few weeks away from arming a nuclear missile, and that would have been a tragedy. So I think that's what the US and President Trump understood, that they need an immediate reaction to that, to at least buy time. And that time could be not just definitely more than months, maybe a year or two, but still it's just buying time. It has not destroyed Iran's desire, capability, and progress towards a nuclear weapon, unless, again, a change in regime, but a complete change in regime, not just putting yet a more moderate Islamist there. You need to put a democratic leadership there that looking to change Iran into what it used to be during the Shah time.
We spoke to numerous people on the ground. The impression is they were ready at that moment on the streets. Something prevented it from happening. The United States and Israel didn't seem to want to go that route. Why?
I'm not exactly sure what's the interest of the United States on not having a regime change. President Obama, during his term, he had the opportunity when we saw the great challenge to the Tehran regime by protesters and manifestations in the streets of Iran. And yet President Obama clearly stated that he will not help them and he was not looking for a change of regime. We see the same thing, or we saw the same thing during the Biden administration. Now, the question is, why is it? I'm not exactly sure, although there have been a lot written about some personal interest of some members of the government of Obama and Biden that they may have had with Iran, either business interests or other family interests. Not exactly sure about that. It's just my opinion after reading many of what has been written about that. Now, regarding to the Trump administration, specifically this one, together with Israel, I am sure that Israel wants a change in regime and is supporting that. With the Trump administration, I'm not exactly sure if they want or they don't want. But I think eventually they'll come to the understanding that the only way that Iran will change its color, so to speak, is with a change of regime. And that change of regime, not with another slightly more moderate Islamist, but with leadership that is looking to democratize Iran, make it a democratic, Western-oriented country. But I think that will eventually come when President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu will meet, and hopefully they'll come to the realization that that's the only way to change Iran. Otherwise, Iran will continue supporting the Houthis, the Hamas, the Hezbollahs of Iraq, and many other terrorist organizations. And some even have said that the attack in Bondi Beach in Australia may have had some Iranian help.
Well, on that cheery note, Rabbi Elie Abadie, thank you so much for your insights, and we look forward to having you back again here at the Media Line.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, Felice.